Welcome to the Fintech Combine. I am your host, Kris Kovacs, founder and CEO of Constellation Digital Partners. And this is the series where we talk with and sometimes about community-based institutions, the technologies they're implementing, and how they're overcoming their challenges in digital transformation. On today's episode, we're going to speak to Linda Bodie, who is the CEO of Element Federal Credit Union in Charleston, West Virginia. Linda is a Herb Wegner Award winner. She was just inducted into the America's Credit Union Museum, and she is one of the most innovative people I know. She is one of my personal credit union superheroes, so I can't wait for this interview. With that, let's get out on the field. Well, Linda, thank you very much for joining us today on the FinTech Combine. I really appreciate you being here. As I led off with, you are one of my credit union superheroes. I think what you do is amazing, and have been inspired by so much of the work that you've done in our industry. Why don't we start off by sharing the few folks who haven't met you or who don't know who you are? Why don't you share a little bit about your journey into the credit union industry?
Well, thanks, Kris. I'm excited to be here and share with you, and I'm glad you thought of me. So thank you. So for those of you who don't know my story, I ended up in the credit union industry by accident, and I think that's probably a lot of people's story. But I had a degree in accounting. I was doing corporate accounting. I didn't like it. Never really felt like I found my true passion, my true thing in life, and ended up losing my job because the company I worked for moved out of state, and so I had to find a new job. And I got a request to interview at a credit union, and I'm like, well, I'm a member of a credit union. I know what that is. And maybe I can go here and have a job for a little while until I find my dream job. So I took the job at the credit union. They hired me, which was fascinating because I had zero experience managing a financial institution. But they hired me, and I ended up kind of liking it and kind of figuring out that the credit union vibe fit in my vibe, and I never left. And that's over 25 years ago now.
Linda, what was that first role you were hired for?
It was the CEO position. It was a very small credit union, 3 people, and we were 2.3 million in assets. And I don't remember the membership size, but it was tiny. So yeah, I was hired to run the place from the very beginning.
From the very beginning. What is it? What are the types of skills necessary for a CEO? So somebody either new to the role or somebody who may be new to the industry, right? What are the types of skill sets that a new CEO should have?
Well, you definitely need to have leadership abilities, vision, a plan, strategic planning for where you want to be, the ability to work with other people, inspire other people. And, working in the credit union industry, you could be just a regular banking institution, or you could really go further than that and be more impactful than just doing regular banking things, and more community and more membership, community impact kinds of things. So it depends, but I think to make change, I think you need to have that ability to think beyond just regular banking and transactional thinking, the business plan that you would have based upon that, and be more outside of that kind of, I'm going to say boring, because I think anybody can do banking, can do transactions, but how can you make an impact beyond that? How can you reach people?
Tell me a little bit about the credit union you're at today, because that was a different credit union, right? The one you were first hired at and the one you're at now?
It's actually the same credit union.
Oh, I
But
didn't
the
realize that.
fascinating thing is we changed our name 6 times. So maybe that's why you think it's a different credit union.
It's like the CIA, you're trying to get away from something.
Yeah, so not our fault, not our fault. So when I started, we were a single SEG. We were affiliated with only one group, and that group was the West Virginia Department of Human Services employees. So that government agency went through some name changes, consolidation. So every time they changed their name, we changed our name. So that was like 4 of the name changes. So we evolved into Element in 2012. So a couple of them were our fault, but the first 4 were the agency changing its name. So yeah, I've been here for over 25 years, growing from that tiny credit union to still a tiny credit union of 54 million today. And we serve multiple groups now, not just that one state agency. And we go where other people don't go. We serve niche markets to make a difference. One of those markets is the cannabis industry. So even at a small size of where we are today, we became the banking institution for the state of West Virginia. So doing some, different kinds of things keeps us relevant and makes the job fun, because I like to have fun at work. If I was just doing banking, I would be bored to death.
Amen. Amen. So today, does Element cover all of West Virginia? It's a pretty big state.
It is a big state. We have geographic areas, but not the entire state. And we also have employer groups. And anybody who wants to join, we can qualify them by amending our field of membership.
Excellent. Excellent. So you talk about taking on the opportunity of cannabis banking. One of the things I absolutely love about the work that you do is how innovative you are and how much you push the boundaries, right? Talk a little bit about the challenges for a small credit union trying to push some of those boundaries and be innovative. What are the things you've had to overcome?
Yeah, definitely limited dollars. When you're a smaller institution, you've got a certain pot of money that you can access, and that's a hindrance. So a lot of it is figuring it out yourself, talking to some people who might do it for free to to help you with your passion, your person power, not having enough people to do the things that you want to do, being a smaller institution. The conservative nature of credit unions too can be a constraint limitation, because we think this is all we do as a credit union. We have to stay in this one path, and we can't deviate from that. Like cannabis banking, for example. Who would think that would be a reasonable thing to pursue? Well, some of us think it's reasonable, but I think educating yourself, because I just didn't know stuff. I started in the credit union without knowing anything other than being a credit union member. So everything that I needed, I had to learn. So putting in that time, and I mean put in the time, it's not just read an article, it's turn your weekends into this passion project of immersing yourself into whatever it is that you're trying to do. So the passion is key. If you really want to do something, you can find a way to do it.
That's great. That takes me back to so much of my time spent as a developer, right? When you really had a passion project, like they couldn't pull you off the machine, right? Because you just wanted to attack it. You wanted to solve that problem, right?
Exactly.
What do you think some of the advantages a small credit union has over a large credit union when it comes to doing some of those innovative ideas?
Yeah, we have the ability to change rapidly. If I want to implement something at my size, I could do it right now if I'm comfortable with it, or I could do it within hours or days, depending upon what the project is. So we can be really speedy to market or internal, whatever the thing is that you're developing. I think we're also more connected to our members and our communities because we're still person to person. Like, we don't have AI running our credit union. We're actually seeing people face to face. So we have the advantage of knowing our members like in person versus AI knowing them in a non-creepy way. So I always like to put the non-creepy factor in there too. because sometimes it's creepy.
Do you, in order to move quickly, do you partner with fintechs to be able to do that? And what are the types of fintechs that you've worked with in the past?
Yeah, definitely. Some of the stuff we've done on our own back in the day before technology exploded into what it is today. We used Skype back in the day for messaging. So we could implement that. So we used a Skype number. There's a whole bunch of little things that we did back in the day that made it kind of easy for us to do it. But now there's so many different solutions. So we try to mostly partner with credit union affiliated fintechs because we align in our mission, and we're all for the same goals and successes. So why not keep that inside the credit union ecosystem? So as often as I can, I'm going to work with a QSO. And if that's not available, then I'll find another partner organization or partner credit union that wants to make a difference. Again, being in alignment, because that's key. You got to have a partner that you're both getting something out of it, and you've got that same goal.
How do you, I was in West Virginia a few months ago, such a beautiful state, and saw one of your branches, as a matter of fact, in Charleston. And it occurred to me that you have to really be very plugged into the needs of your community, right? That you talked about. You want to be aligned with the community that you're serving. It's not a secret that there's parts of West Virginia that have been really economically depressed. And so what have been some of your strategies for helping out the consumers, generally members specifically, in those areas? Because I think in these uncertain times, I wonder if there aren't things other credit unions need to be thinking about and maybe modeling strategies you've employed.
Yeah, I guess I also failed to mention that we are now a CDFI credit union. So we're one of only 8 CDFIs in the state. So that's, even though we've been doing the work of a CDFI, we didn't get designated until a couple of years ago. So we take education and belonging very seriously at our credit union. No judgment. We accept people for who they are, where they are, their circumstances, as long as they'll, trust us, work with us, we can make an impact. So not only do we have people out in the community attending events, listening, we have some listening sessions where we try and find out what the problems are, what the struggles are, and then we try and craft solutions that meet those needs. So I can develop solutions all day long, but if it's not something the community needs, then it's worthless. So we want to make sure that we're finding out what are the struggles in our communities and design products and services to meet those needs. And it all starts with financial education every single time, because people lack the basic knowledge. Either they were never taught by their families. They certainly haven't been getting it in schools. So who is filling that gap? So that's been our niche. One of our niches is that financial education and making sure that people understand the basics of finance and then build them on a successful journey down the road.
Following that strategy, then, what are some of the ways you measure your success in educating the members and the population in your area?
Yeah, that's a tough one, isn't it? Measuring the success.
Yeah.
And that, for us, did we move the needle with this person or with this business? Because it's not just individual people, it's businesses as well, because our business community struggles. So what's needed? What are we trying to achieve? And did we move them along? So there's not an ROI. We're not measuring that. We're measuring the impact on the person. And we have a really good success rate for those who are serious. And that's the big struggle, is who's serious about improving their financial lives and then who's not. But the ones who do want to change, I'd say it's close to 100% that we get them to where they need to be. The people who are, kind of wishy-washy, not as much of a success rate. But if we set out, here's your goal, and then we can move that person along to that goal, then that's what we consider a success.
How do you recruit? I mean, everybody talks today about the war on talent, right? How do you recruit employees that share that same passion that I can hear in your voice for your members and for your fellow citizens of West Virginia? How do you recruit people to help you carry that banner?
Well, right now it's really difficult. I think it's really difficult for a lot of people, but it's a different world right now, and talent is number one. People are hard to find, and number two, finding the right talent is even harder. We're very upfront when we hire people. We tell them this is our culture, this is our beliefs, this is how we operate, and you've got to align with us. You don't have to be, a twin, or you don't have to be exact, but if you don't follow these basic principles, we're not the place for you. So
Right.
we kind of get people up front. Are you going to drink the Kool-Aid now? Or, if you're not, then you're going to wreck the culture. You're going to wreck what we have. So being very upfront and very intentional, we're able to attract the people who will keep doing what we're doing and move it further down the road in our hopefully continued success in our community.
Do you find that you have to train them on, personal finance best practices and financial education as a part of your onboarding, because you want somebody who can teach it and, from the heart and who understands it? Is that part of your onboarding and training process as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And, the people you hire have struggles as well. They have
Mm-hmm.
financial, they're not just A+ credit. Some of them are, but some of them aren't. So as they're learning from us, they're learning about themselves. And we've had several employees, take the lessons they've learned from us and apply to their own lives and improve that way. We also are making sure that everyone is a certified financial counselor. So they're going through, I think it's offered by CUNA, and every member facing, anybody who deals with our members are required to get that designated training so that they can use those skills when talking to any member, because financial education is everywhere all the time. It's not just like, oh, I'm done learning about this. No, it's a continuous journey, and you have to be looking out for that at all times.
It's wonderful. That's innovative to think of your staff as both consumers of the financial education as well as the purveyors of it, right?
Yep.
And I think that goes into certainly kind of your innovation streak. I've as I said before, I'm fanboying, right? We're talking to you. Tell me, what is innovation? This word gets tossed around a lot, right? There's a lot of credit unions who talk about innovation. We're talking about digital transformation. What does innovation mean to you?
Well, basically, it just means creating something new that serves a purpose. Maybe it's a new product, maybe it's a new process, maybe it's a way to save time, to be more efficient. But anything new, that's the most basic definition that I can think of for innovation.
Is seeing the opportunity for that something that's innate in you, or is it something like financial education that you can train your staff on and, that can be learned?
Yeah, definitely for me, it's born. Because I've been this way my entire life. I've always been curious. I've always been asking why. It's like, why is it this way? Why can't we do it this way? And always building things or creating things that other people think, well, that's just weird. But, to me, it was perfect. And I don't know that everyone has that experience. of having that thing that
Mm-hmm.
makes you just stay up all night until you solve the problem. So I think innovation can be learned to a certain extent. Everybody's different. I can't get in everybody's
Right.
brains, but I think you can teach people to how to be more innovative,
Mm-hmm.
how to ask questions, be curious, but for it to be natural with them, I think some people just don't have it naturally. But I do think that everyone can be innovative. It's just they're going to be different levels of it.
I had heard, as a demonstration point of this, I had heard that you were at one point accepting checks by fax and depositing them before, right, remote deposit capture. Is that true?
Yeah. So September 11th. Let's go back to September 11th.
Holy cow.
They ground the planes, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the paper checks are sitting on the planes for 2 weeks. And as with anything, major like that, that's what it takes to radically change something. That's when innovation can happen. So check 21 was passed. So the Fed would accept electronic check images. But, that was 2000, I don't know, it was a long time ago. So when that happened, we started asking, well, how can we start accepting electronic checks now? And this is before the iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
So we figured out a way for people to send us their checks electronically. They could scan it, on a flatbed scanner back in the
Mm-hmm.
day, send it securely to us. We could process it, and then we were like, well, we could do the same thing with faxes. We could take those too. So we
It's
before the
amazing.
iPhone, before mobile deposit, we were accepting checks electronically.
Just amazing. Just amazing. Like to see the need and then to be open to kind of the innovation and the opportunity to attack it is really just so impressive to me. The credit union industry is not known for our innovation, right? we're seen as a pretty traditional industry. What strategies have you implemented in your credit union so that you aren't the only innovator, right? But you've got you're surrounded by a group of people who are also thinking like that as much as possible. How do you foster innovation?
Well, it's part of our culture, and for example, ChatGPT. I'll give you an example there. So something new comes out like ChatGPT, and I'm the one playing with it first, and they're like, "This is so cool! This is so great! Everybody should use it." And they're like, "Whoa, I don't know what this is. I'm scared of it." So working with the people who are more open to change and to innovation, getting them on board first, and then they're like, all right, dipping their toes in it, and then they find success in it and they're using it all the time, and then they're saying, hey, you should be using this to their coworkers. So it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like, all right, you have a permission, you have my permission, even though you don't have to have permission, please innovate. But once that adoption, it's like the party starter, who's going to get on the dance floor first, and once you get on the dance floor, then a couple more people come. So we kind of try and do it that way. It's like, it's okay, really, it's
Mm-hmm.
okay. And so you drag people along, or people come along when they want to, and some people don't come along at all, because you're always going to have those who are like, I don't want to deal with this. That's fine. So making it acceptable and fun for them to use new technologies or new solutions, or dream and say, you know what, that's a crazy idea, let's try it. I mean, if a CEO says that to you, you better run with it.
Yeah, for sure. Right. That's a unique opportunity when you get to be able to do that.
Yeah.
I'll share with you. When ChatGPT first came out, I was as enamored as you were, right? I'm in there plugging away, trying things. And I asked it to help me build a profile of the average credit union member, right? So it built this with some additional queries and follow-ups. I built this profile. And then for inspiration, I like to look at other industries, right? So I look at other industries. It's like, hey, what are they doing about this in video games? What are they doing about this over here? So I said, what are the other companies that sell to this customer type, right? And it came back with two. Buick and Cracker Barrel. Yeah, we've got some work to do.
Yeah.
How do you work to attract younger members, right? Because younger members are this, certainly they're the future for us, right? That's what's going to help us as an industry continue to grow and to live, right? I was enamored when I was in West Virginia with the group of young professionals I was with. I was there celebrating one of our engineers who had won an award from Generation West Virginia, and I was just enamored by that. There's this energy. There's these young professionals that are, I don't know whether it's they're staying at home, they're not leaving West Virginia, they're reinvesting their time and energies back into it. How do you work to attract younger members that'll be the future for your credit union?
Yeah, that's the challenge. And I think it's been the challenge over time. It's not just right now. Definitely being relevant to them. That's the key is, are you offering the right technology? If you're not up to date on your mobile apps and digital banking, you're not going to attract them. Identifying and supporting what they care about. I mean, right now, the environment, being frugal with their money, financial education, and being where they are. So being out in the community, which I think that we're really good at that, is being at events and being at causes, showing up to support. And again, going back to that financial education, getting them when they're young and explaining, let's start your savings account. Let's think about your journey in finance through the rest of your life. And as you probably know, kids, they kind of are going to have the same bank account when they get older. So wherever they start, they hang on to that. They might change eventually, but getting in there early and showing them that you care and care about their community, right. It's kind of like do the same thing you've always done, but do it a little bit differently.
I think that's the perfect opening to start talking about advocacy, right? You are such a wonderful advocate for LGBTQ plus causes. You are the co-founder of CU Pride. How do we as an industry need to make ourselves more inclusive and open so that we're attracting younger members who hold these values to be so very important?
Yeah. You mentioned Buick and Cracker Barrel, right?
Exactly.
Can't be either of those.
It's okay. We can say it. We're going to be controversial, Linda. It's okay.
Oh, my goodness. And there are Buicks and Cracker Barrels all over here too. But right. Anyway, yeah, we got to be a little bit different. I think having leadership that understands the need for the change in the organization. So it's not there's nothing wrong with the older generation, but you've got to change now, not later, to embrace the times. And if you're not paying attention to the times, then you're going to be a dinosaur and you're going to go away. So it starts with leadership, because leaders are the ones making the decisions. Now, you and your credit union can be open and know what's going on and advocate for it, but you got to reach the leadership. So more credit unions are getting there. They're getting it. They're seeing the need for social impact and being more open to the LGBTQ plus community. They get it. Some are not, and they might not be, but it's going to be a variety of factors that determine if your credit union is going to embrace the community or not. And with CU Pride, that's one of the things that we hope to, I guess, give people hope, give people guidance, say it's okay. It's okay to embrace the community. It's okay to welcome them. It's okay to be like in 2023 and beyond. It's okay.
I was reading a study over the weekend, and it talked about how, because that's what I do for fun. I was reading a study over the weekend, and it was talking about how generationally, right? If you go through the generations, the expectation that companies advocate and changes, right? So young people today expect companies to live their values, to share their values, to make those public so that they can determine who they want to do business with. Some older generations, we'll call them, actually feel the opposite way. They think that business has no role in advocating for anything, and they should just do my business, right? And don't bother me with all of this other social justice or other kinds of advocacy efforts. How do we balance that? We're an industry that from a just membership perspective is largely in this older generation, yet we know, as important as they have been to our creation and our success, right? Getting to here, in the future, the expectations are different. And how do we balance this kind of opposing demands? One is, be quiet and just do my banking. The other one is, no, I want to know your values so that I know who I'm doing business with. How can we as an industry strike a balance between that? Or do we not?
Yeah.
Or do we not strike a balance? That's the other opportunity. Is just say, you know what? This is the future, and that's where you need to go.
When AI is mature, you will have that balance because you will know your customer. It will know your customer, and it will serve you the way you want to be served. So that's the easy answer. Right now, having the stance, the statement to your members, you know what? If you don't like this cause, that's fine. This is who we are. That's perfectly fine. If you want to come in here and do your banking and just do your banking, we're going to let you do that. So being, I guess, open and honest and just saying, we love you the way you are. If you just want to do your banking, we love you the way you are. If you want the cause, that's how we're going to address you. And that's who we are. And we're going to go back to the foundation of a credit union and what it means to be a credit union and explain that history to you. Because I don't think a lot of people know the history. They don't know that we've always been, well, we started out making waves by doing things that other people wouldn't, advocating for the people who are not being served, the people who are being left out. So I can't answer this all, in
you
5
just
minutes.
Did.
We can't, but there's a way. Now, industry-wide, that's a whole different thing, but each credit union can make that impact. You got to tell your story. Tell the freaking story of credit unions.
Amen. Amen. You say you can't answer that question. I will tell you, I'm sitting here admiring the way you just drilled that drive right down the center of the fairway, right? Because you did a perfect balance. You said, listen, AI is going to help us do this, right? This advanced technology that's coming, but by the same token, you have to hold the value of our history together, right? That is such an enlightened view. I'm glad it was a question I asked. Really, very well done.
I'm glad I had an answer.
How do you measure your advocacy success, the success of your efforts? Is there any way to actually measure that?
I think, again, everybody wants ROI, and that's just not a thing to measure this. I think if you're impacting people in a positive way and hearing that feedback from people, you know what, you just changed my life by going out into the community and flying the pride flag because, my daughter's gay, or, you're not only impacting the LGBTQ plus persons, you're impacting the families of those people. So it's hard to measure unless people tell you the impact that you're having on them. But we know we're having impact because more and more people are joining in on advocacy and showing the love and support for us. And the people who aren't, they're being silent, I guess. So are we saving lives? Are we impacting lives? I think that's measuring impact.
Yeah, we could have no higher calling, right? I mean, that's really what it comes down to. You are someone who has won every award the industry has to offer, right? From the Herb Wegner Award to recently, congratulations, inducted into the American Credit Union Museum. It's recognition's great, right? Who would you like to recognize? Is there somebody you would like to call out and recognize for their inspiration or kind of their role in helping shape your career?
I would love to recognize Matt Davis. He worked for Filene back in 2013. I believe that was the year. And he is the person who first recognized me. And he asked me and Brett Wooden, so I'd like to recognize Brett as well. Mm-hmm. He asked us if we would come to Iowa and talk to their, do a presentation on technology. So Brett is from Oregon, I'm from West Virginia. So we met in Iowa, and that's the first time I met Brett. And I had worked with Matt at Filene. So that was kind of the lift off, the somebody noticing what we've been doing. And that started my journey of learning to public speak and present. So I blame Matt Davis, but he's awesome.
Recognize, blame, I mean, all of those are good ways to do it. No, that's wonderful. I appreciate that. Both great contributors in the credit union industry for sure. What excites you about the future of credit unions?
I'm always excited about credit unions, and it's always the best time to be a credit union. It's always the right time. And I wish that we'd do more every time we say that. I'm also excited by the number of new fintechs, QSO fintechs. Credit unions are finally getting in the game and forming their own QSOs. And I don't even know half of them. I probably don't know a quarter of them. I'm just now finding out that there's a brand new QSO of, well, let's take on the fintechs with our own. So I'm excited that we're finally doing that. I knew we were doing it a little bit before, but now it's like we're really doing it, and you're doing it too with Constellation, right? You've been doing it.
That's the whole idea.
Yeah. So that has me excited.
Is there anything that worries you about the credit union industry?
Biggest worry is leadership. I mean, who's running our credit unions? Your board of directors, what do they look like? Because they're making the decisions. They're ultimately responsible. Your CEO, what's their philosophy? So if your board is, Cracker Barrel and driving a Buick, not slamming Cracker Barrel and Buicks. Just saying.
No. We'll put up a little thing that we love Cracker Barrel and Buick.
My parents drive a Buick. All right, it's fine. Yeah, I think you got to have leadership that's relevant and willing to take some chances and take some risks. And then the consolidation and mergers. I mean, it's going to keep happening, but where does it stop? When does it end? Because at some point, how many credit unions are going to be left?
What's the next innovative project thing you're working on?
Well, that's a secret.
I can't talk about that. Even better. We'll come back for part 2 on that.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, Linda, I wanted to say thank you so much for joining us today. You have given so much to think about and so much to talk about. I really admire you and everything you've done, and it's an honor for me to have the opportunity to have you join us on the show. So thank you very much.
Well, thanks, Kris. It was great to be here, and I hope you had as much fun as I did.
I did indeed. That was an amazing conversation with Linda. I am so happy she was able to join us today. Thank you very much for joining us. If you want to follow along, please like and subscribe this series on your podcast or video platform of choice. And don't forget to sign up for our Discord server to keep the conversation going. We'll see you next time.